Before we watched TV shows and movies on Narcos, and even before Pablo Escobar's rise to fame, there was one man who was the ultimate narco. He lived the narco life of greed, money, and power, but found a way to reclaim his life and use his astonishing experiences to empower others to live a life of hope, meaning, and redemption. Welcome to the Narco Mindset Podcast, where Dr. Jorge Valdes shares his journey through life before and after the Medellin Drug Cartel, from torture and multiple prison sentences to how he refocused his life onto a path of principles learned as a narco. It's time to share that raw truth with you, right here on the Narco Mindset Podcast, with your host, Dr. Jorge Valdes.
Today on the Narco Mindset Podcast, a man takes his wins and takes his defeats. A man makes a choice in life and lives with the consequences of it. I know what it is to wake up one day, be worth $60 million with unbelievable power, and within 6 hours, not have a dollar to buy a candy bar. We need to measure the economy by how many people can provide a dignified living for their family. With Trump, you're either all in or all out. How the hell are we so obsessed with winning that we're really willing to believe any freaking thing? Welcome to the Narco Mindset Podcast. My name is Dr. Jorge Valdes, and today I want to talk about a subject that I think is pretty relevant to what's going on, and I think it's something that I might know a little bit about. You know, we're going around, we have just seen an election, and we've had a candidate win and then a candidate lose. Unfortunately, this is the world that we live in. They say that every Sunday, half of the family is happy, and half of the American families are happy, and the other half are unhappy over a football game. So why not over politics? The sad part about it is that we no longer live in the world where we lose, and when we lose, we just decide that, hey, maybe we did something wrong, or perhaps there was something that the other opponent did better than us. And perhaps we just regroup and start all over again and become better. No, for the first time in history now, we see that the loser, Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, does not want to, accept defeat. In his mind, he's never accepted defeat. So therefore, why this time accept defeat? There must be a reason why he had lost, especially when you go around the country and you do all these rallies and you tell people that you're going against the worst candidate in the world. I looked at the debates between Nixon and John F. Kennedy, and they were completely world apart in what they believe. But nowhere in the debate did they attack each other personally. The entire difference was, listen, I agree with some of the things that the Vice President Nixon says, but I think I can do that better. Or I agree with some of the things that Senator Kennedy is saying, but this is what I think that he's wrong, and this is what I think that we can do it better. So it's no longer about strategy, it's no longer about policy, it's no longer about what we can do to make America better. It's about destroying a person's character. So we start way back with this whole, Biden's sons being corrupt. I don't know if they're corrupt or if it's not corrupt. Most likely, if I was to take a guess, they all are, on both sides. It's unfortunately that we just like pointing fingers at others. But the truth of the matter is that that's insignificant. Just when President Trump got elected, no one thought that he would get elected, not even himself. And can you imagine Hillary the next day giving up this speech of concession? When not only did she lose her lifelong dream, not only did she lose an election that she thought without a doubt that she had won, but in her mind, she lost to the worst candidate in the world, Donald Trump. And forget about her opinion on him. Look at the opinion of every single Republican candidate that went against him. Look at what Ted Cruz said about him. Look what Marco Rubio said about him. Look at what every single one of them said, what a crook, how bad. Look at how many leaders, even McConnell, said about him. It's sad that, as typical politicians, of course, when Trump beat them, and this is one thing that I am happy about what Trump did, is beat the heck out of each and every one of them, because when he beat them, then they all just became like lapdogs. No longer did they have personality. Why? Because of fear. Fear of losing power. Ain't that something? No longer do we have men that fear nothing. For me, it's so difficult to see this because I come from a world where I thought I would die by the age of 25. I didn't give a shit. Every day in the morning, I would wake up and my bodyguard would say, hey, someone put a contract on you and someone put a contract on you. Do you think that I lost any sleep? Do you think that I cried? Do you think that I felt bad? No, I just took it like a man and said, hey, that's part of my life. I would kiss my children goodbye and probably thought it deep down in my mind that I would just not come back and put them to bed. But that's the life I had chosen. And as a man, because at the end of the day, just because people have balls doesn't make him a man. A man takes his wins and takes his defeats. A man makes a choice in life and lives with the consequences of it. A man doesn't blame others for all the bad that is in him. Look, Donald Trump has done a lot of good. Okay? And I'm the first one to say, I did not vote for him. I used to be a huge fan of him. He came off that elevator and said that about immigrants. For me, he was done. But then for me, what was worse was to see all those years of lying and lying and lying. And what hurt me the most was to see good people, many of his followers, they're not deplorables like Hillary said. I think that was horrific when she said that. Many of his followers who really are a lot of people that have been left behind. And when you're left behind, anybody can come and say something to you. It happened in Cuba with Fidel Castro. See, my father could not understand how Fidel could take over in Cuba, but I could, and I was just a little kid. When you have such a disparity in income, where so many people are poor, and as just a small minority have all the wealth, imagine, we have the worst unemployment. We got mothers trying to figure out how they're going to educate their children and get a job. We look at people that work really hard to serve us at restaurants that have lost everything. We have people that have lost their businesses. That was going to be their retirement. We're not even contemplating how many 70, 75-year-olds soon might not be able to work anymore, but no longer do they have that hope. Are they going to be able to live on Social Security? It's ridiculous. They can't. So we have all of these people, yet the stock market, it goes through the roof. Like I said to a friend of mine that said, hey, are you not worried about the stock market dropping? I said, well, the truth doesn't matter. At the end of the day, my faith is on God, period. Listen, I've lived a life that very few people ever imagine living. I know what it is to wake up one day, be worth $60 million with unbelievable power, and within 6 hours, not have $1 to buy a candy bar. But that's life. You win and you lose. But what I wanted to focus about is on this conspiracy. Because see, the problem is that we are so obsessed with winning that we are blinded to everything that's around us. So like one lady said to me, aren't you not worried about the price of gas and the stock market going down? And I just couldn't even believe she said that. And I was a little sassy when I answered. I said, lady, look, I drive a Rolls Royce. If I have to worry about the price of gas, I should be driving an electric car. I don't give a damn about the price of gas. In the stock market, I have a lot in the stock market, literally my entire retirement. I said, but you know what? If it goes up or if it goes down, I just adjust. Because I know how to live with a lot and I know how to live with nothing. So therefore, I just adjust. But my question is, do you have stocks? Do you have stocks? Because I would venture to say 95% of America doesn't own one single stock. So when we try to measure, when we allow the president to measure the economy by the stock market, it's all bullshit. We need to measure the economy by how many people can provide a dignified living for their family. And very, very, very few can. It's very, very sad. We need to provide, and we need to, value the economy by how many children don't go hungry anymore. How many people are not homeless anymore? How many people can leave their house and earn a living, dignified wage? How many teachers can teach our future leaders and not have to get a freaking part-time job at night because they can't make it on their own? That's how we measure the economy. We don't measure the economy by the stock market or Wall Street. Who gives a shit? Many people don't, but we have been allowed to be told that the economy is so great because President Trump has told us the stock market is so great. So here's the deal. It's a good segue into what I want to talk about today, conspiracy theories. First of all, let me tell you about the conspiracy laws. I know a little bit about it because I ended up doing 10 years in prison because of conspiracy. America is one of the few countries, I think probably the only country in the world that has the conspiracy law. Conspiracy means that if I get together with another person to, let's say in my business, in my old business, smuggling drugs. So if I get together with Bill and say, hey, Bill, let's bring a load of drugs in. And then Bill says, okay, I'm on. And then I say, okay, let me make a phone call and see if I can find an airplane. That alone, after that phone call, is enough. Back in my time, to get 15 years conspiring to import narcotics. It does not matter whether it happened or not. So that's the conspiracy laws. I went to prison twice. The first time I got arrested in Panama, there was no drugs because Noriega sold them. But yet I was convicted in Macon, Georgia, where I had never been in my freaking life, to conspiracy to import just because somebody said that I was tied to somebody else. So that's the law. But let's talk about this conspiracy that so many millions of Americans believe that this election has been stolen. Look, in 1977, I was paying anywhere between $750 to $1 million a month in corruption. We bought a lot of people. But I can tell you this one thing that we never bought. We're never able to buy. We're never able to buy a judge, a federal judge. We bought a lot of local judges. We were able to buy a lot of politicians. We never were able to buy a DEA agent. Now, I'm sure that some people have been able to, but as a whole, we couldn't. And really, in reality, we tried, because at the end of the day, this was our theory. Everybody knows somebody. So you don't have to get directly to that agent to bribe them. All you got to do is find someone that knows them and then provide. Money is tempting. And when you provide a lot of money, it can be very, very tempting. At the end of the day, we didn't want them to do nothing. We just wanted information. See, information for us was critical. We're willing to pay a lot of money for them just to tell us there's an operation going on or not an operation. You're being looked upon or not. Yet we were never able to buy a DEA or an FBI agent. So here's the deal. Why do we look back to 2016, before the election? I remember for months and months, President Trump trying to convince the people that if he lost was because the election was rigged. He's been doing this all his life, but we have short memory. Now, of course, he won the election. So because he won the election, no longer is it rigged. What gets me is how many good people that are very, very intelligent, because, he does have some followers that just have not had a lot of education. There's still good people. I'm not saying there's bad people. There's good and bad in everywhere. But he's got good people. But I want to focus on those that are very, very smart that I have a lot of respect for. They forget that in 2016, he said that over and over and over and over again. I didn't like Hillary. I think she would have made a good president. I've never voted a Democrat ever in my life. I've always voted Republican. But here goes, and I see that she loses. And at least, you know what? I'm thankful that she went out in a dignified manner. Didn't say that the election was rigged, conceded the following morning, and life went on, and all his supporters forgot all about the rigged election. So here comes 2020. He starts saying over and over again, the election is rigged. I'm going against the worst candidate in the world. If I lose, it's because they stole the election. And sure enough, he loses. And all of a sudden, it becomes a conspiracy. He gets a clown like Rudy Giuliani to go ahead and create all this havoc and all this show, because it's nothing but a show, goes into all these courts, does not allege fraud one single time, because there's penalties for doing that in a federal court. He can step outside the court and tell all his followers how this has been the most massive fraud ever, how this whole thing started with Hugo Chavez in Venezuela. Oh my God, think about this for a minute. People, stop. To think about that in America, someone in Venezuela or Iran or anywhere can fix our ballots? Can you believe that? How the hell are we so obsessed with winning that we're really willing to believe any freaking thing? That the corruption is so big in America that we can fix it so that the most powerful men in the world can be taken down? Can you really, really believe that? Stop for a minute, stand before God. If you're a believer, like many of them that believe it, say they are Christians, stand before God and tell him, I truly believe that. Because here's the thing then, let's just keep digging a little further. So all of a sudden, all this thing is rigged. All these people are in, and millions of people across America. Of course, we're only talking about the counties and the states that he lost. The one that he did not lose, the election was not rigged. Okay, the one that he won, everything was fine. So the Democrats are going to rig this to take this election away from the president of the United States, even though he had started a commission to investigate interfering in the 2016 election. The head of that commission, appointed by him, said that this was the most secure election in American history. And what does Donald Trump do? He fires him. What do his pundits and believers do? Good. That's what he needed to do. That guy was in the take too. So everyone that does not agree with him is on the take. So let's go further. So now somebody in Venezuela, Iran, China, who knows where, ended up fixing the ballots. They weren't smart enough that if you're going to go ahead and break the law, look, if you have break the law. Break it all the way, man. If you're going to fix the election to throw down the president, it doesn't mean nothing unless you don't have the Senate. So why let all the senators win? Like, especially Graham, that was a close election. Why just not take him down too? Why not control everything? If you're going to break the law and there's going to be this huge investigation because you fixed this election, then you know what? Just fix it all the way. Don't let a single Republican win. And then, of course, many senators won. Many House seats were turned where the margins get smaller. But I guess the only thing that people care about is Donald Trump. So then it goes on. So now we have fixed the elections to the point that we have gone ahead and somehow got all these volunteers, little people or no one, willing to risk their life and going to jail forever because they rigged the American election. Okay. And now, but it doesn't stop there, because once we get through those people, now we got to get to Secretary of States who are Republican. And then, of course, those that, like the one in Georgia, that suffer being threatened and all that. So he's on the take. So now, of course, Georgia has to be certified eventually by the governor, one of Trump's biggest supporters, Governor Kemp. So Governor Kemp goes ahead and he does what the law tells him to do. Trust me, if he would have found any way possible that he could have gone away with it, he would have. But I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that, you know what? He did the right thing because he did what the law said. Now he's on the take too. So everyone, because the thing about it, we live in a world that with Trump, you're either all in or all out. And the world is not like that, people. There's no such freaking thing as all in or all out. Now he's got all these people on the take. I mean, this is such a massive conspiracy that is getting more and more intriguing. I mean, oh my God, John Grisham could never have written a book this good. So now it goes further. Now he's going to go to the courts. So in Pennsylvania, he gets his ass handed to him by a federal judge who, allow me to clarify, is considered one of the most conservative judges. It's a member of the Federalist Society. You know what the Federalist Society is? Let me tell you about the Federalist Society. They are a group that has nominated every single conservative judge that's in the Supreme Court, serving right now, especially the last ones that we've had. So therefore, every single one of them is a member of the Federalist Society. So now this judge in Pennsylvania also, but somehow this big cabal, this big boogeyman got to him too, and got to all the other ones. And they did it in Arizona, and they did it in Michigan, and they did it in Pennsylvania. Now they've done it in Georgia. When the hell are we going to wake up and just simply freaking say, hey, I lost. We got our ass whooped by 6 million votes. So yeah, I mean, look, in every election, there's irregularities. It doesn't stop there. But I did not see Hillary talk about, like, hey, in some counties that she lost by minute numbers compared to what Trump lost by. Pennsylvania, 10,000 votes. He lost by over 150,000 or over 100,000, whatever the number was. I don't even know because I'm not following it anymore. She didn't argue about it. So to me, somehow she's more of a man, as much as so many people hate her that know nothing about her. She's more of a man or a woman, or she's got more balls or more dignity than he does. Thank you for listening to part one. If you enjoyed the episode, please stay tuned next week. Go to my webpage at www.jorgevaldezphd.com. Sign on to our community. You will send you a free copy of my book, Narco Mindset Freedom Edition. Stay tuned to all the news. There's a lot of content that I'm creating. There's a lot of great things that are happening. There's going to be some theatrical releases. Again, thanks so much for listening to the Narco Mindset Podcast. I am your host, Jorge Valdes, and we'll see you soon.
We've come to the conclusion of this episode of the Narco Mindset Podcast, but your path towards hope, meaning, and redemption continues. For more information and resources to help you on your path towards finding a life built on integrity, honor, and truth, head to JorgeValdezPh.D.com and join our community. We appreciate you joining us for this episode and look forward to helping you find your turning point right here on the Narco Mindset Podcast.